Yeah, those. I haven't tried those yet though. I didn't even know that they were selling those in stores. Is it actual THC though?
I mean that's a conversation
Well, it's like
for
hemp.
yes. I
It's like
mean
hemp,
it
not like
it
Zaza.
is it's weird because it's like I'm sure there's like particles in there, but it's also a lot of other shit. It's just labeling THC on a can so
Just
people buy it.
hemp doesn't really give you the same effects though, right?
It's not a
um,
psychoactive, no.
no. If you're a routine, partaker in cannabis, put it like that, you won't appreciate it. But if you're a moderate to light partaker, then you'll get what you're looking for without other. Because I actually have my hemp license. So I can't farm it yet, but I can distribute it. So
Damn,
Is
you need a
that
license for
is that
everything,
is
huh?
that different
you need a
licenses?
license. It's only because I'm acting under LLC. You know
Mm.
what I mean? And they're really big with hemp in Texas. Like I had to go to the Texas Department of Agriculture. Then if I want to grow it, right, I have to go through the FBI. They have to check on me. It's they're really strict. I'm gonna do it when I get the land.
Yeah, that
I
makes
get the
sense.
when I get the. I only got a little half an acre right. We'll get there. That's. Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude. Is it different licenses to be able to like farm it, or?
Yeah. So it's different. So like say I owned this and y'all worked for me.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all would have to have a license like handle it, called a hemp handler
Mm-hmm.
license, right? But for me to distribute it, I need another license and for me to grow it. That's when really gets tricky because you have to have a farm. It has to be inspected by the Texas Department of Agriculture, and they will take samples from you at harvest time. And before you can harvest those plants, they have to test it and see if it comes above the point of 0.3% THC.
Mm.
And if I'm telling you, if it comes back point 0.4,
Mm.
they will make you burn your entire crop. That's what they
Damn.
make you do. If you, yeah, they make you burn the crop.
Is it different for every state? Like for how the farming of it all goes, or is
Yeah, no, definitely it's different. Texas is very conventional, very traditional.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm surprised hemp is even legal in
Mm-hmm.
Texas the way. It's different in other state. I only know Texas because that's the one I'm dealing with. But other than that, I can't speak to the other state. That's pretty much my process. Initially, when I was like, okay, farming thing, why not throw a little hemp,
Yeah.
hemp in there, and of course the flower. Everybody loves the flower. Hemp seed are one of the best, is if not the best source of protein. It has omega 3 fatty acids like fish oil. It has like 16 grams of protein per gram. If you put an 8 ounce ribeye next to 8 ounces of hemp seed, then a hemp seed times the value of protein.
Mm.
So it's and then you can make rope from it, fibers, all kind of different, very useful. You can actually make paper and all of these things out of it. Hemp has its other uses, and that's where the real money is in paper.
The applications of it.
And that's why it's so hard to get it legalized because people all grew hemp. It would take over the timber industry.
Hmm.
Yeah, because 1 acre, I believe 1 acre of hemp produces the same amount as 4,000 trees. Like what you would use it for making paper, textiles, and different things. 1 acre of hemp, 4,000 trees. You got 4,000 trees. That's way more than 1 acre.
And honestly, it's kind of like mind blowing to me. Still, the process of how we cut down a tree and get a piece of paper. Like I don't understand how you go from wood to the thing I write on. But it's
Yeah.
it's very interesting, like just to kind of look. Maybe I just need to YouTube it or something. But just like the idea of it, like how do you fucking do that shit?
Man, you gotta go to the factory workers with that one,
Bro,
man.
like, what the fuck
I'll,
is that?
you know what I mean. I'll grow the trees. I can't.
Because I mean, I guess
I
it's
can't
kind of
manufacture. I don't know.
because I guess with hemp it's kind of the same thing. Like you're growing like a seed that turns into like a well, how does it I guess grow? Is it like a root or?
So hemp, it's just like any other plant. It grows really tall.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very tall plant, obviously. Because hemp is just classified scientifically as cannabis sativa. Cannabis sativa L.
Okay.
It's a form of cannabis, but it's closer to the original genetics of cannabis. Because about the Zaza, and the purple nurple and the what's it called, the purple Urkel, you know what I mean, like the stuff like that. These are hybrids. They've been crossbred and different. Some of them are good. Some of them are just completely GMO. But it's no difference if I take like something like a orange. A orange is actually a grapefruit mixed with another fruit. No, a grapefruit is an orange mixed with pomelo.
And isn't like a lemon like it's a
What?
citron mixed with a lime or something like that?
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
It's like
Yeah, it's a plant called citron. Like that was the original.
I saw
lemon.
somebody like post a fucking meme or some shit. It was like, so life never gave us lemons. We fucking made them.
literally, man. Like the original lemons were like this small, and they had a whole bunch of seeds, barely any. So everything is bred to. I mean, it's kind of the same with humans. Like you see a trait you like, not in the modern day time, but back then you see a trait you like, you breed it, and you make these people have babies, and it doesn't even matter if you go back to ancient Germany, whole slave thing. It doesn't matter. Like people see traits of people that they like, those people survive, and then back then, I'm so used to being TikTok. I was gonna say unalive, but they killed them.
You're on
so
TikTok
used to
now, huh?
Yeah, man, dude. I don't know why. I have no idea that I am blowing up on TikTok. I just started going live on TikTok.
Hell yeah.
In November, I've gotten like 1,000 followers.
Hell yeah, dude.
Farmer Don page. After having 200 followers, I don't know, like 2 years.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
That's some dope exposure that you're gaining there.
people
I didn't
wanna
even know
hear
you
this
could go live on TikTok. I don't have the app, so I'm not too aware of like the applications that they have. But that's crazy. I didn't know
Yeah.
you could go live on there.
Yeah, you can go live. I think the reason I never went live before is at first you had to have 1,000 followers to go. But I guess this is just an assumption, but I guess with all the heat around TikTok and ban and the deadline, they dropped down 500. And I'm thinking like, oh, okay, they start using it, so they can get, if everybody's using it, it's more of a reason for it not to, you know what I mean. But I mean, even if people don't go live, it's 175 people that use TikToks only in America alone. Yeah, so that's half the population.
175 million people. That's fucking
175 million people have TikTok accounts. But at the same time, a lot of people make fake accounts, dual accounts. So
Yeah.
you can't really, but it's a lot of people though.
That is a fuck ton of people.
And a lot of people think that's how Trump won the election.
From TikTok.
Yeah, if you go on Trump's TikTok, his lowest, he has hundreds of videos, but his lowest view count is 10 million.
Oh shit.
Yeah, like
we were
use
kind of
social
talking
media.
about that.
Yeah.
Like we got into the conversation about like how it seems like social media has been like a very big proprietor for political like agendas, whether it's to try to like have a voice or try to create an avenue for these different things that you're trying to get passed, or if you're trying to get yourself into office or all these things. But it's like one thing that we were talking about is like it's kind of crazy because like without being too political about it, it just seems like from an objective point of view that Kamala didn't even like really try on that stuff, like on the social media side, the podcasting, the putting content out about what she plans to do. It seemed like all of that was kind of missing from the equation,
Especially for the younger generation. The kids are watching TikTok and YouTube podcasts and clips, dude.
Yeah, that was well said. It's like, yeah, we get it. And it's no diss to the Democrats or Kamala, but yeah, we get it. You got Beyonce, you got Megan Thee Stallion twerking on stage. We get it. Okay, you're black, right? Okay, we get it. You know what I mean? It's like, it's like so cringe. It's like, look at me. I got Megan Thee Stallion. I got Beyonce. I got John Legend. I got, look how black I am. And it's like, Kamala, we already knew you were black. You don't have to prove it right now. You know what I mean? It's like, it's okay, dude. Talk about what you're going to do because, man.
You're the president. You're supposed to be the president of the United States, bro.
Megan Thee Stallion is crazy.
I think they got Cardi B too.
Really?
Yeah,
they did.
yeah,
They
yeah.
did, man.
Hell
It's
yeah, dude.
crazy, man. And I'm what they would call it neutral. I don't believe in like being loyal to a party.
Nah.
Mhm.
Yeah, you know, what I mean, whoever's the right person, that's who I vote for, and I rarely ever do vote.
Mhm.
You
Same.
know what I mean? So it's like, one thing I do like about Trump though is that he actually, when he gives you his word on something, whether it be bad or good, he sticks to it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And when Trump was last president, the economy was good, the money was flowing. You know, because he is a businessman. You know, so. But once he made that Joe Rogan podcast, I knew it was over.
Yeah.
Like the moment I seen it pop up on my news feed, I was like, "Oh yeah, it's over." Like you got on Joe Rogan's podcast. Oh yeah, nah, yeah.
For me, it was two moments. It was whenever
Never
he,
seen the
it was
president.
whenever
do
he
that.
got shot, and then everyone's reaction to that. I was like, all right, it's gonna be kind of hard to beat that. And then he fucking went on a podcast tour for. He was on the Nug Boys, on Joe Rogan, like
Yeah.
Theo Von, right?
Dude, he did
He
everything.
did a few
Aiden
different
Ross,
pods.
bro.
It's just like literally
Everything.
he was just he saw that the kids are on this Twitch shit and
Mhm.
on these social media platforms. He's like, well, that's a whole faction of my voters right there.
Mhm.
Let me go try to talk to them too.
No, definitely. You're not gonna reach people, even if, like, say, social media wasn't here. We have streaming now, just with Netflix and Hulu and different things like that. So most people are not watching cable news. So they're not gonna see the highlights and everything. So you have to reach people because most people are on Netflix, Hulu, and if they're not on there, they're on TikTok, X, they're on YouTube. You know that you have to go where they at. You know, you got to use the proper medium. So most politicians, I think you even have to be a certain age to run for president.
Yeah, it's like 40, I think.
Is it like 40
No,
or
it's-
45?
It's
or-
like 35.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah. But most people who are in the House, the Senate, and in politics in general, they're older. So
Mhm.
like, they have traditional values, traditional ways, and they'll put a little Facebook post out here or something out here, but it doesn't. People like authenticity now. People don't like when you just just post, "Hey guys, vote for me. I'm gonna do the best job I can, and I'm gonna." It's just like it doesn't it doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
You gotta say some real things about what you're really gonna do. You know what I mean? You don't have to be vulgar, but you gotta talk to people as regular people. I think we're getting out of that whole era of like being politically correct.
Good, like for good. It seems like I don't know. It's like I think that there is a fine line between being politically correct so that you're not upsetting anyone around you for literally no reason. Like just being an asshole is not like
Right.
okay. But like at the end of the day, we shouldn't be so like policing ourselves on everything that we say or do just because it may or may not offend someone that's around you. It's like that's no way to live. I mean, you have to be able to collaborate with each other and everyone around you as well as you possibly can, but like also to try to have like a seamlessly like good life. Like you don't want to cause harm, you don't want to have harm caused to you. Now that's not to say that shit's just not gonna happen, but I mean that it's to say that you can avoid as much as you possibly can by trying to be a genuinely good person. And that's still on the table. We can choose this option.
Just even like we were talking about, you seen what happened today. There are literally just very bad people in this world, and I don't know if the internet is influencing it. I don't know if the internet is influencing it. But just what I've seen, it seems like the average human being has gotten more aware of different things and more enlightened per se. But then it's like nobody's actually changed. Like the internet doesn't change people. It just gives you a platform.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like people who are, I'm so used to TikTok. People who are pieces of shit.
Yeah.
I can't say that on TikTok. I have to say POS.
Their rules are kind of weird, like how people will have to put something in the caption, like other than like you were saying on a live earlier, like you can't even type died.
No, yeah, they'll let it slide, but they really hate the word kill. So if you say kill, you know what I'm saying? Like I could be we can talk about basketball. So man, we finna go to the gym later. I'm finna kill it. Oh, banned for a week. It's like what? Like, what?
That's crazy.
Like TikTok is really sensitive about you crossing people up at the gym.
Damn, that probably changes the way you talk too. Like you're just so used to saying these things. You're like, oh shit. Now I get it though. That because like I'm always like the kids these days. They say like unalive and stuff. I'm like, why don't they just say it? But I'm sure they're just so used.
That's why.
You're just
'cause
so
they're
used to
always on TikTok, man.
It's also like that old George Carlin bit where he's like kind of making fun of like how we change the words to make it sound better. It's like he didn't die, he passed away.
Right,
It's
right,
like,
right.
same shit. What are we
Yeah.
doing here? Why are we trying to make each other feel so much better at this moment? Like
Right.
we can say that he died and we can feel that uncomfortable moment together and we can get through this. But like now you're just being weird.
No, yeah, definitely. George Carlin's one of the goats, man. At RP George Carlin, man. George Carlin, he was one of the goats, man. I remember watching him before I really even. I always been spiritual, but he was. I always been like very physical, like material world minded until I got older in like high school. Like really my junior year, that's when my spirituality just kind of opened up because I wasn't playing basketball anymore. Things happened. I was like, man, why would this happen? I had my whole life planned out, this and that, So I was looking at different things, and then I just remember running across George Carlin one day, and he was saying the same stuff that we're just now realizing, like back in the 90s, the 80s, you know what I mean? So George Carlin is definitely a trailblazer, man. Underrated.
I would say
legend.
so as well. I mean, I don't know about underrated. I think most people know who he is, hopefully at this point. But
I think a lot of people probably forgot who he was.
That's
That's
fair.
what it
That's
is.
probably fair,
That's
yeah.
what it is. Uh-huh.
Honestly, I was talking to somebody the other day. I think we're kind of getting towards the era where like people are starting to forget how good Robin Williams was. Like,
Oh,
dude,
yeah.
like I mean, we've talked about it fucking a bunch of times, but it's just like dude was not just a pioneer, but like maybe one of like the best, if not the best, like comedic actors of all time. And but he also had that like range to be able to go into different like fields of not just acting, but his comedy and stuff like that. Now there is also the conspiracy, well, not conspiracy, but like the idea that he may have been stealing some jokes every now and then.
But that was for his stand-up, though. Supposedly, he would pay people to he would go up there, and he'd probably steal someone's bit, but then after he'd be like, "I'm sorry," and like pay
Make
him
up
money.
for it.
Right.
Because it would just be, I don't think he really cared about the stand-up. I think the stand-up was more just to show face and kind of,
Just to have like that
People's-
performance art.
yeah, for people to see him and just, probably seen more as an advertisement for what he's going to be doing,
Yeah.
Come see me in the movie theater. Oh, wow, he does stand-up too, but I don't think he really cared about the stand-up craft that much.
No,
That's fair.
and if you know comedy, jokes float around like the ocean. Like everybody uses everybody else's jokes. They just take them, tweak them, and then say it in the way they would say it. So you've probably seen that with comedians. He's like, I heard, or he's setting up a punchline, and you can already tell where he's going, but he still did it uniquely and originally. But it's just, I mean, that's just how it is. You know what I mean? Now there are certain people that's outright like just thieves. You know what I mean? I think that's the whole thing that what's his name? Cat Williams was saying. He was just saying like, oh no, he doesn't write his own jokes. And he knows that because he's in that profession. But at the same time, comedians have writers, they have a team. It's just like making music or anything.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna have people in certain ideas. Like the greatest song you ever heard, it was a group of people around like, hey, no, and then after the beat drop, say this,
Right.
and then use this ad lib.
You're like, hey, what if you said this right here? Yeah, like I feel like that collaboration is definitely necessary. It's just, I think the difference is that like is the part of like the credits, like most of those people on these collaborations for music, their name will be on the song. They'll get the Grammy as well if it gets the rewards of awards or whatever. But like the idea with comedy is that like even if you had a collaboration, it would take like almost research for the audience to understand the credit, because there's no fucking rolling credits at the end of a comedy show. You'd have to literally tell people, I got that joke from my buddy backstage. He's a really funny comic. He'll be on later tonight. But like you're while trying to build an image for yourself as a funny comic, that's detrimental to your own career. So like I think it becomes a situation because like there's more than one way to do it, obviously, but it's like the Chris Rock conversation where he like openly tells people, it's like, I do my set in front of like some of the most funny comedians that I know, and I have them give me notes, and I use those notes to edit my sets, and then I go back out there and I do it again. It's like he still has the original idea, but he's also utilizing the collaboration of others to boost those ideas into what we get to see on Netflix and stuff like that. So like it's one of those things where it's like it's doable, but we still see these like examples of comedians that are quote unquote thieves. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, for sure, 100%. I see that, and I've been following comedy my whole life, so I can tell who's like genuine. Like I like the guy Theo Vaughn, and it's like some people are comedian. Like the internet has shifted it to where like people are just if you were a comedian and you didn't have a stand-up special, you weren't a comedian.
Right.
Now you can just be a funny guy and still be considered a comedian. Like even what's his name? What's the one guy?
Dude, Drewski's considered.
That's his name. That's his name, Drewski.
Yeah.
Well, we've created a whole like new thing, which is like a skit comic, where it's like the only comedy that you do is like these skits, and
Right.
I think that used to be a thing for like MTV and like Comedy Central, but even those guys were like stand-ups that were there for the skit, you know. It's like now we have a lot of comics. The Tony Stavoci dude on Instagram.
Oh, Stavucci or whatever. Yeah, he
that
does.
Dude, he's
I think I know you're talking about. If I see a picture of him, then I'll definitely know.
But like basically, there's these guys. It's like I don't think these people are like Drew's. I don't think these guys are going and doing stand up on the side. It's like these guys aren't working on like
we
a comedy
about
script or anything like that for a film coming out. It's just like these are just like the skits that they do, and it's a very successful field. It's just something very new to our generation.
I mean, Drewski had his own show.
He did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's it called?
Never been.
You talking about could have been records?
Could have been records. Yeah, could have been records.
But all of that started off of just him doing like Instagram lives.
skits. But yeah, I mean, he got his own show. It was.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. Is like the could have been talent show that started on Instagram Live. He would just fucking get on live and have people join in and be like, "What's your talent?"
Right,
bro. That shit used to be hilarious.
Yeah, Theo Vaughn called into one of those.
Really?
Yeah. It was. Of course, he was just messing around. I mean, Theo Vaughn's not trying to. Yeah, he's not trying to get on anything. But it was funny, and I mean that show was hilarious. People actually thought it was real. Like some of the contestants thought they were like getting a deal. Like they were gonna get a record deal.
That's crazy.
That is crazy. And they were up.
What's the whole thing? And then, like, even before he had that, he had like the audition set up or
Yeah,
something.
bro.
And, like the people would come and audition. He'd be like, "Oh no, next."
Yeah, with the security guards
Yeah.
and shit, bro. Like
Yeah.
there was one dude. He's like, "Hey, you take one more step over here, shoot that motherfucker."
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, man. So it's just the dynamics and everything is shifting, man, and you can feel it, man. It's like you literally, and take this with a grain of salt. Anybody watching, you can do anything you want, but I mean that as far as your career and everything, like you can use internet to propel your career. Most, especially in my case, I'm considered a small business. I can run my entire business off of the internet. You know, I could just do e-commerce and still be making good profits. You know what I mean? Like the farmers market is something that I want to do because I really believe in it, and it's like nothing beats homegrown vegetables being a part of your community. But say for whatever reason I was not able, like some days I missed the farmers market for whatever reason, then it's like if I'm only relying on that, then that's how it would be in a day. If you're a farmer, you take it to the farmer's market, or if you got a product, you set up a booth. But now I can sit on my couch in pajamas and sweats, and I can set up my booth online.
That's
and
crazy.
It's amazing. You know what I mean?
It's dope to still have the farmers market stuff because you still want that community aspect, you know, to like see the other people around you that are doing their own thing, that are still trying to give back.
No, definitely.
But that's crazy that you can just basically just fucking kick back and just.
You know what I mean? Like I've even got it down to the science to where when somebody orders something, I go on the USPS website. I schedule them to pick it up from my front door, have the package out by the door, put it there the night before. So then when the UPS driver comes, he stops at my door, picks it up. It's already headed to you. You know what I mean? So it's all in motion. Like, so I don't even have to go and take all these packages to the post office.
Have
I
you had
can
any
just-
like major issues with the shipping and handling part of the business?
No, only when it's foreign. I haven't got over that, so I shut down foreign shipping for a while. A lot of people got mad at me because they had placed orders and stuff. I refunded them and everything, but they got really mad with me because they like, I've ordered this, and I was like, I know, but I can't, like, what you I that was on my end because I completely underestimated how much it costs to ship something to another country.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I think somebody ordered sea moss gel, but like it's going to like Canada or something,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like it was about just a small jar, half the size of this cup, $53 for shipping,
Jesus Christ.
and it still would arrive in like 12 to 15 business days.
Jesus.
And I'm like, so if I was like, okay, well the priority shipping, so I can get it to them faster, like 80, almost $100
Jesus.
for one little jar that was worth $25.
Like the little like the sample ones that you brought us?
No, a little bit bigger, like
little
an
bit bigger?
8-ounce
Oh,
jar.
okay.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So it's just like at a certain point, I have to risk versus reward. It's not so much that it's not profitable for me. It's just I want people to have my product, and then once I get it more, I'll get a different system going or something, But I have to figure out the international shipping. That's just
Mhm.
something I gotta do more research on and maybe collaborate with other people who do it, But at the same time, right now, it's not where I'm at in my business. I cannot afford to do that, and then who's gonna pay $85?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
shipping?
It would be like on the customer's end to have to pay for that, and it's just for, like you said, for just like one jar.
Yeah.
They would have to be making a very bulk order for that type of shipping to be
Right.
worth it.
Right.
Yeah.
If you order one or two items and then you want me to ship it to, obviously I had orders from Pakistan, Ireland, not Antarctica. I was just saying Antarctica.
The penguins needed some.
Alaska.
All two people that are a lot there on the continent.
So
Alaska.
they tell us. No.
Alaska, and I did the Alaska one because it is still considered United States. So USPS didn't charge me an arm and a leg, but all the other ones I had to cancel and refund them
That's
because it's like
crazy.
it's not good for either one of us. Like even if you were to somehow, because I didn't set the shipping settings right, so like they were getting like $5-7 shipping, like they were domestic, like they were in the U.S. So it's like. So somebody from Ireland comes and orders something, and it's like, I'm about to ship $40 total with only that $40. You know what I'm saying? It's like I can't do it, but it costs like $50 to get it to you. So I actually lose money.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So I'll have to figure that out, but that is gonna be a big part of everything,
Yeah,
So-
because I mean, like that's just another hurdle, but I mean, it's not like the most difficult hurdle to get over. It's just finding out the perfect way to maneuver through that system, I guess.
I guess I'll have to do something like minimum orders or something. I'm working all the kinks out, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, like a minimum order, international. And you see it on some websites. It'd be like domestic orders over 50, free shipping, and international over something. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I just have to do it like that, And, that's why we're just growing locally right now with the farmers markets. And most of my commerce for the last couple months has been focused around here, the
Like the
Houston
local
area.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I want to build. It's like the plants. You want to make sure your roots are grounded first, and then you go ahead and branch out into the world and everything. Because, I don't know how to say it. Like if you're not a factor in where you're from, then the rest of the world kind of doesn't matter. You know what I
Right.
mean? So I kind of do it like that, and then it's all a whole bunch of ideas, man. We gotta get into it. I gotta go in the lab. I take my time, So it's
No, that's
It's all
good though.
good,
It's
yeah.
good to like kind of have that like adversity to be able to get over, to be able to overcome and keep pushing forward.
No,
We're
definitely.
glad to have you here today too, man. You got the farmer Don on,
The
dude.
farmer
Don
Don.
of a new era, 13. Mr. Donovan Darby, dude. For
I think you
the
told us last time. What was the 13 for?
Oh man. Okay, yeah. That's where we came from, man. Spiritual, man. So
Wait, closer to the mic a little bit. I mean, it's picking you up. It's picking you up. It's
Hey,
picking you
yeah,
up,
I
but
gotta pick it in the mic. Yeah. So 13, man. If y'all see me on social media, you'll see me say 13 love. Basically, I'll put 13 in front of any word. If you see me at this point, I'll put 13 in front of any word. But because 13 is an amplifier, right? Just the same way I'm using this microphone, and now my voice sounds 10 times bigger. And you can hear me through a different channel, right? That's what 13 does, right? So 13 is actually, now we're getting into numerology, but even if you see it in your everyday circumstances, excuse me.
You're okay.
13 actually plays a big factor in the whole. No, I'm just gonna say the universe. The universe. This particular universe we're in. We dealing with the number 13, and the number 13 represents completion. It represents going from a new level, and going into what they would call like the fourth dimension, which is really time.
Okay.
Yeah, because with numerology, you always take the two numbers and you add the numbers. So 13 will actually equal 4. So the 13 is actually going to the fourth dimension. Now you're able to play with space and time and what they say manifest and different things like that. But 13 is everything. Right now, as a human being, you got 13 major joints in your body. When you go to school, you have to start off at kindergarten. Pre-K is optional. But if you work your way through the school system from kindergarten to 12th grade, there's 13 levels, right? Before you can go into the university. You know what I'm saying? So, and even what they say, like we were just coming out the age of Pisces, right? So the age of Pisces is the 12th zodiac sign. So now they're saying we're going back to the age of Aquarius, which is a whole nother. That's a whole nother.
That's a
thing.
Let's
very
talk-
different conversation.
That's a whole nother.
Let's get into it, dude. That's what we talked about the last time we had you on. We had the you about to go use the restroom? Oh, nice. But yeah, I mean, last time we had you on,
Yeah, I'll take it. You can put it right
we talked about the business, but this time I was like, it's New Year's.
here. I think that one is over here.
This is going to be the New Year's episode that's dropping. It's going to drop, of course, after New Year's because today is the new year. It's the first day of the year, which we actually were talking about this on the last episode we recorded, which will be dropping pretty soon too. Just about in general, like the calendar and why ours is on January 1st and just kind of how that, because, not every country does the new year on the same day and how we go about doing the new year. And
Yeah.
because, a lot of people did like, back in the day, would do the solstice would be, how they would kind of gauge what the new year is, the crops the sun coming out, the crops starting to grow again, stuff like that. So yeah,
Definitely.
it's the new year. So let's get into some cool. Yeah, let's talk about some stuff. Let's get Age of Aquarius. Let's start there. Why not?
Hey, Happy New Year, everybody! Because we're about to get deep, y'all. Happy New Year, man. wherever y'all at in the world, Happy New Year. I'm grateful to have y'all here. I'm grateful if you know me. If you don't know me, I'm just grateful to have y'all here. Yeah. Happy New Year to y'all. Let's get this New Year set it off right. Let's start it off right. I'm Farmer Dawn, and we're about to get real deep. Strap into your seatbelts. The spaceship is lifting off. Everybody buckle on board. So let's get to it. Let's get to it.
So it's something I like to, not to completely derail because this is on the same topic, but something I like to do is whenever people tell me, it's like the initial reaction of people that are very into like astrology will tell me, it's like, oh, you're a Gemini? Oh, I can't deal with you. I remember having this conversation with Dot like so long ago where he was like, honestly, it's really crazy how people have these reactions because, like, a lot of these astrology signs are based off of, like, star alignments from so long ago, but the stars have been there for fucking ever. Like, and they move. It's a fucking expanding universe. Like, things are not the same as they used to be. Why are we attaching ourselves to such extremely changing things?
No, man. No, that's a very interesting topic. So if you didn't hear it before, we're actually every zodiac sign.
Boom!
What? We're
We're
each
everyone.
person.
Everybody is, and that goes back to the whole thing about the 13. See, it all comes full circle, just like the zodiac wheel, right? It's a circle. So these are all powers and archetypes that work in us. So Aries, for example, Aries, and then you're Aries.
I'm an Aries.
Okay, yeah. So Aries deals with the mind and the head. That's why it's associated with the ram, head first. You know what I mean? It deals with the cerebral cortex. You know what I mean? It deals with thinking and planning and like Have you ever seen Pinky and the Brain?
Mhm.
Aries is the brain. It's the mastermind. You know, Aries will sit there and think of a whole plan, how to do it, when to do it, and then boom, once he acts, it's just like a ram. Boom, head first, go do it. You know what I mean? And these are all represents different parts of our body because our body is animal. Humans are on the animal kingdom. So if you look at the word zodiac, even when you spell the word zoo, the prefix to zoo is actually zo, right? So zo is dealing with animal kingdom, right? So these are all different animal beastly essences in us, and it's just kind of like a map and a template to see what type of urges you will have or what's your nature, or even when you go into like indigenous or Native American spirituality, they would say what's your spirit animal. You know what I mean? So you know, if you're Aries, your spirit animal can kind of go along the ram, but it gets deeper than that because you know, I mean, then you got Taurus, which is obviously a bull. Gemini is represented by two twins, but if you go far back enough, Gemini is actually represented by several different animals: monkey, seahorse, all the weird ones. That's why we're so weird. You know, all the little weird animals. Cancer, the crab, but also it's a horse too. You know, it can go down the line with it, but all of these things are essences in our body, and if you work your way down, the head rules Aries. Taurus rules the throat and the torso. Even if you hear the word torso, you know, you could you know what I'm saying? Gemini is the twins, and these are the twins they talking about, the two hands. You can't let the left hand know what the right hand's doing. You know what I mean? These are two twins, you know. And then the Cancer rules the breast. That's why Cancer is seen as nurturing, the motherly sign, you know, the breast and the stomach, you know. That's why Cancers can have they like to
can't have a baby. I was like, wait, what?
Oh no. They like to comfort. They like to comfort eat. So they also rule a part of the stomach. And then Leos rule, obviously that one's easy, right? The heart. But they also rule the backbone.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Virgos, you're dealing with your lower nervous system. So Geminis rule the upper nervous system. And then the Virgos rule the lower nervous system right around the stomach. So if you ever met a Virgo, they're always high strung. And if you ever heard this thing about like a gut feeling, that's you using your Virgo energy because Virgo rules the actual gut, the digestive system, right? And then Libra, it kind of starting to make sense now, right? So now when you get to Libra is the scales that keep the balance, right? And your midline, your waist, actually is ruled by Libra. And then, you know, you go to Scorpios, and then, you know, that's first thing they say about Scorpios. Oh, they're sexual. They're good in bed. Well, Scorpios actually rule the genital organs. Yeah, you know, your sacral chakra, different things like that. And then Sagittarius rules the thighs and the hips. And then Capricorn rules the knees. Aquarius is the shin bone, you know, and the calves. And then Pisces is the other twin of the zodiac, two fishes, and those two fishes are the feet. That's why they look like little fins. You know,
I did not know that. That is crazy.
That was a weird thing to think about.
Something I was thinking about, like, you might not know the answer to this, but just something that came to mind while you were like kind of describing that is the 12 animals on the Chinese zodiac associated to like our zodiac?
They're directly correlated.
Okay, so
they're
like,
directly
because
correlated.
there's some animals that aren't like the year of the dragon. Like, which one is that? With you know what I mean?
That would be the Leo.
The Leo. Okay. See, there's some stuff in there where it's like it's correlated, but I've just seen some animals here and some animals here.
You're right, because like my zodiac, my Chinese zodiac is a pig, and I hated it forever. I'm no pig, but I like to. So when I went in ancient astrology, I see when you go back far enough, they don't call it a pig. Pig is a domesticated boar. So when you go back into the real Chinese astrology, they call it the boar. So I was like, so anytime say boar, they always be like, man, just say pig. And I'm like, no, I'm the boar.
No,
boar,
I will not be doing that.
A boar and a pig is two different things.
I
know?
have
At least
horns.
I got my tusk. You know what I mean? It's like,
You're right.
So what is the boar related to then in our astrology?
The boar would be. It's actually funny. The boar would be considered closely related to Gemini.
Really?
Yeah, the boar, the pig in Chinese, because Chinese works off the lunar calendar. The Western, or what you call tropical zodiac, works off the the solar calendar, right? So when you say I'll say I'm a Gemini, you're Aries, you're a Gemini. We're basing on what constellation the sun was in when we were born.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the lunar calendar sets the tone for the entire year in the Chinese zodiac. And then you have Ayurvedic, which is the Indian zodiac. When you talking about like where we get like India, like Vedic. We get into Vedic knowledge.
I love a lot of their stories and stuff too.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the gods that they kind of like worship, or like I guess are they considered? They're considered gods, right?
Yeah, no, they are. Yeah, they
Yeah,
are.
yeah.
They are gods, or in other words, deities. They're all deities that have a certain function in the whole pantheon, right? And this how most, predating monotheism, most indigenous cultures had a pantheon of gods, right?
The sun god, the rain god.
Mm-hmm.
Well, those were the like layman's terms for them,
right?
Because that's what they would pray to them for in those scenarios. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And even if we look into the zodiac, all these names are gods.
Right.
These are Aries, the god of war.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Taurus, that they're all switched around, but Taurus is really dealing with terror.
Mm-hmm.
So when you deal about terror, it's if you could replace the word Taurus with TERRA''S. Terrors is belong to the earth. The bull is the great fertilizer and tender to the earth. And that's where Earth is actually.
Through the great game of telephone over time, we got Taurus.
Yeah, literally, you know what I mean? A torque. I don't know if you understand what a torque is, but like a torque, it's something that
Like a torque
can
wrench?
spin on its own axis. Yes. So if you look at remember I said the Taurus is your torso, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you would to look at your spine, the way your spine works and how I can twist like that.
Mm-hmm.
That's a Taurus. That's a Taurus. That's your torso, but it's also Taurus energy. It's also a torque.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying? A Taurian field, and that Taurian field amplifies the Earth, and that's why we have the magnetic field. That's why it spins on its axis. So whenever you're dealing about Taurus, you're dealing with Earth, real down to earth people, and that's why it's the first Earth sign of the zodiac. You know what I mean?
This guy's onto something.
Yeah. No, definitely.
Oh, sorry.
I was just gonna. You go ahead.
I was gonna say back to the number 13. Something we talked about last time with the idea of New Year's in mind was the idea of like months, like why some months are 30 days, why some are 31, why there's 28 days in February, and like realistically, if you look at a calendar, there's 12 months, and if you like to say that each month is 4 weeks, well that only equals 48 weeks, but we have 52 weeks in a year. So there's really like an extra month, which would be the 13th month. But we haven't like really accounted for that
It's everywhere.
you see what I'm saying? Like, it's like
everywhere.
we don't account for that because we've just accepted that this month has this many days, and this month it has 5 Fridays instead of 4. It's like we just kind of put that together, knowing that it's not a perfect system, but we've like utilized that to base all of our other thoughts about what a month is or what January is supposed to be. You know, it's just fuck you. Who just set the system up?
This is what it is. Don't ask no questions. Hey, it's December.
Did we run out of names?
31st. You know what I mean? It's like, hey,
Make another area.
I forgot that old movie that I watched, man. I think it was called "Don't Be a Menace" with the Marlon Wayans
Yeah.
brothers.
In South Central while drinking juice. Yeah.
He's like, don't ask no questions. Just give me the money.
I fucking love that movie.
Funny enough, though, January was named after a god too, I believe.
Januaries?
Yeah, like a
No,
Roman.
okay.
It was.
I know, right?
It was a Roman god, I believe.
Mhm.
During that time, it was during the Roman period of time that
I'm not really familiar. I've heard it before, but I'm not really. I don't want to break it down because I don't really have the knowledge on that one. But the Romans are actually the Romans and the Greeks play a great development not only in Western modern day culture, but in America itself. So anything that come from America is gonna have a touch of Roman and Greek, and even in the planets that we talk about, all these are named after. That's what I was saying. They're all named after Roman gods, not the Greek gods, but the Roman gods. So the zodiacs are the Greek versions of the gods to an extent. It's mixed up. It's so weird how they mix it up. But the planets are definitely Roman, right? So, You have Mars. Well, let's start from the top. You have the sun. The sun is actually known as Helios. We call it the sun. That's why I say it's all mixed up. The sun, but it's Helios, which is a Roman god of the sun.
Right.
Then you have Mercury. Mercury in Greek mythology would be Hermes, the one with the wings on his feet, the messenger of the gods. That's why he's so close to the sun, and he has the shortest days because he's running around, like, you know what I'm saying. And but in Roman mythology, Hermes Hermes would be considered Mercury. So that's the name that we have for Mercury, is the Roman god Mercury, and that is a god, and that's where you get the medical symbol for, with the serpent intertwining. That was the staff of. It's two different ones. It's the staff of Caudatius, and then there's another staff that's the staff of Hermes. The staff of Hermes is the one with the two snakes intertwining, and it's actually on my logo.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the one on your logo. That's crazy.
Yeah, and it's a medical symbol. It means to heal, and also means like enlighten knowledge. And then where we going? Mercury, Venus. Venus is Roman. That's would also be Aphrodite. You know what I mean? The goddess of love and peace. And then we got Earth. Earth is really Terra or Gaia, which it seems like it's hard to find a lot of information about that. But you hear it in so many animes and cartoons. You hear Gaia, you hear Terra. But yeah, that's where Earth is.
Terrans.
Yeah, you seen it? Yeah, I think I heard that on Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
They call people from Earth Terrans. Yeah. Then you got Mars. Mars is the god of war in Roman mythology, but the Greek version of that would be Aries. You know what I mean? And then you got what comes after Mars, the asteroid belt. Then we got, I think it's Jupiter, then Saturn.
Yeah.
Don't correct me. Okay.
Have you seen all the conspiracies about Saturn?
Oh yeah.
There's a ton.
Well, you can tell me one. I probably.
Well, it's
heard
like
it.
the
I
god of Saturn. Essentially is like during the age. It kind of goes with the age of Aquarius too. Is a time of like peace, essentially. But people kind of, it's weird because there's one end of it where people basically say like people worship the god of Saturn, but people equate that with the devil, essentially.
Oh, right, because of the name, right? Like, look at the name. He's Saturn. Especially how people break down things now. Saturn, Satan. It sounds the same. I'm telling you, you take the you are, because you are is your anus, and then now Satan is your anus, and that's why you're an asshole. That's how people break down the things online.
Satan's in your asshole, dude. That's what the message is, bro.
No, but I understand why it could be seen that, even if we get into like divination, like the tarot cards and the psychic reading, any card that is associated with Saturn. So a lot of people think that each planet in our solar system rules a certain zodiac sign. And see, once you understand the zodiac, so before we even get deep into this, you gotta understand what the zodiac signs are. They are a female and masculine component, and they're also, on a much larger scale, they're a positive and negative component. So see them as a positive, a proton and an electron, right? So if I have something as simple as a TV remote, I have to have a battery in it, probably two batteries in it. One has a positive side and a negative side. This is what provides the electricity. This is the magnetism, the electromagnetism. So each planet has that too. And each planet that we're talking about in our solar system, these are the opposite components to them. So Mercury, the masculine, the positive pole would be Gemini. Masculine means to put out. And then feminine means to receive. You know what I mean? That's why the masculine symbol, even if you look, is the positive symbol is a plus sign, which looks like a cross. But no, we're all adults here. But so if you put the cross symbol up, it would look like a phallus or a penis with two balls on the side of it. Positive, the masculine. But if you look at the feminine symbol, it would, or the negative symbol, which is the feminine, it would look like just a line. But you could stick the plus symbol directly into that line. And I don't know if that makes sense, right? Yeah. You got to get a little visual there. But so the positive is masculine and the negative is female. So is that saying that all females or the feminine women are negative? No, that's not what I'm saying. So you got to understand positive and negative mean? Positive means put out. Negative means to ground. Like to ground, cancel out. So this is why, a lot of men will say, oh, I'm getting into argument with women. There's no winning. I can't win this argument. Yeah, because everything you say cancels out. It negates or negative. It's not negative. It's negative. It negates everything. You see what I'm saying? Just like putting that's why you got to use copper when you're talking about electricity. You got to use the copper wiring and stick it in the ground because it negates the charge. If not, it'll be electricity everywhere.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It has to negate it. So it's
to regulate it too.
You know what I mean? So everything is like that with the zodiac. So it's Gemini is the masculine of Mercury, then Virgo is the feminine of Mercury, and then you go to Venus, the masculine would be Libra, and then the feminine would be Taurus.
Does this play into like compatibility with
yes,
with like other signs?
Yes, and they always, when you look on the thing, when they say compatibility, they will always say that your opposite sign is the most compatible with you. You know what I mean? Or somebody of your same nature. Like if you're, oh no, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, does that, what you're saying right now about it being like the opposite, does that correlate with the positive and negative poles? Like the most opposite from you would be the most, like say if you're positive, that would be negative. Like that would be like the range, I guess. Not to say that anyone in between that range you wouldn't be compatible with. Right. It's just like the most opposite pole from you, basically.
Well, it's really complex because we center ourselves and focus on the sun sign, but you yourself are a whole being that is made in the same image of the universe.
Sun only out 12 hours a day.
Huh?
It said sun only out 12 hours a day. We still got 12 others.
Oh, I know, right? Yeah, I know, right? You're right. You know what I mean? So it's like, basically, how do I say this? So just how our solar system is, we have that within us. These are archetypes, right? So, how do I put it? What? Oh, okay. How do I put it? Oh, so these are the archetypes within us. So, the sun, the moon, the asteroid belt, Chiron, which is an asteroid, the Mars, Mercury, Venus. These are all things that are in us. These are archetypes within us, and they're all. This is a map to make sure that we know what we're doing with our energy. So, like, you have something you call a birth chart, and it's exactly the way the stars were aligned when you were born. So, when you were aligned, the way the stars were aligned when you were born is, you may have been a Capricorn sun. The sun was passing through the Capricorn constellation. But at the same time, Gemini was passing through the Mercury. Gemini was passing through the Mercury constellation, or Mercury was passing the Gemini constellation, or and we keep going down that line. So I can look up your birth chart, and then I can see everything about you just based on the day that you were born and the time that you were born. So you may be a Gemini when you're with your friends, right? But then you may be a Capricorn when you're with your lover. And then when you're at work, you may be an Aries. And it goes down the line like that because the houses, each one of those, like if you look at the zodiac wheel, each one of those is what they call a house. And it's 12 houses. And each one of those houses represent a different aspect of your life. So when you can put all the zodiac signs in their proper houses based on the individual thing, then you understand, wait, I don't ever act like this when I'm around friends. But when I'm around my family, I act like this because that's the way the stars align when you were born. And these stars have a very big influence on not only your internal makeup, your physical makeup, and your mental makeup, your spiritual makeup, everything. I may say mental twice, but yeah.
That's crazy.
Why do we focus on the three then, if that's the case? Why do just most people just focus on
the rising, the solar, and the lunar?
Oh, it's the sun, moon. Yeah, well, yeah.
Sun, moon, and
same
rising.
shit.
I don't know the words
It's
here.
same shit.
Yeah,
It's the
lunar,
same
it's the
shit.
same thing.
Same
Yeah,
shit,
yeah,
yes.
it's the same thing. I think it's because that's pretty much as far as people get. Because most people who know the sun, moon, and rising is because somebody told them, "Hey, what's your moon? What's your rising?"
Right.
So then they go find it out. But most people know their sun, moon, and rising because that's your big three. Those are the most important.
There's no big three, just big me.
Shout out,
Right.
shout out Kendrick Lamar, man. Shout out Kendrick Lamar.
Sorry,
Exactly, man. It's no big three. It's big me. But if you say it's big me, it's big you. You see what I'm saying? And you the big you, and then if I say me and then you say me, then it's just you and I.
This is where we cut in the rush hour skit. Said, me, he is me, and I am you.
You know what I mean? But no, I mean, even look at what we was talking about the universe, right?
Yeah.
You can't spell the universe without you and I.
Facts.
He's just, hey.
My man's got the pickup lines. He's
Hey.
just out there.
Is that a verse?
Hey, that's a bar. That's a bar. Kendrick, go ahead. You can use it. I know you don't need it, but Kendrick, if you want to use it, hey, you got it, bro.
Dawn of a new era.
This is the
Trademarked.
13 bars.
Hey, you know. Oh, man.
So what about the age of Aquarius? Let's
Okay.
get into that. Let's get into that because we were in the age of Pisces, right? And now we transitioned. What, like, was it last year or when did we officially start that? Do you know? We can look it up if not.
So, different sources will tell you different, but based on my perspective. The beginning of the change started at 2012. Like, do you remember school and like when you remember at school and like class was about to get out, so then the buses start coming up and then people start and then the papers start filing and everything. So that was what 2012 was, and nobody realized it because it's like, oh yeah, it didn't blow up because
That was the end of the Mayan calendar.
That was the end of the Mayan calendar because that's as far as they got, because past the Mayan calendar, it will be a new world. So what happened from 2012 till now is that you've watched, not to say it, but the dawn of a new era, because the dawn means the sun is rising. It's a new day. It's a new era, right? So how do I put this? The world and the earth are two different things. So the world is the construct and how we socially, deal with each other, how we do business,
social contracts.
It's a social contract, a social construct. So that's the world, right? Because if we go back 2,000 years ago with the Romans and everything, they were living in a different world.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have TikTok. They couldn't talk to somebody in India just by looking at their phone and putting the duck lips up. You know what I'm saying? But no, seriously, it's a different world. It's different times, or what they call different eras. You know what I mean? So, that was the end of that era, and that era, what they were referring to was the age of Pisces. Now, me specifically, you take this with a grain of salt, right? I believe that we are not in the age of Aquarius. I believe that we are in the age of Aries, because why would we go backwards? If we're following the era of the zodiac wheel and we're spinning around this wheel, think of Pisces as 12. And that 12, if you got a clock that has 12 numbers on it, just like the zodiac wheel, that's why the clock and the zodiac wheel are the same. It's a universal clock.
It would be unnatural for the clock to start going counterclockwise.
Why would it go back to 11?
Why would it counter itself? Yeah.
So why do you think people are associating this with the age of Aquarius?
Because that's all they could find on the internet.
Mm-hmm. I was gonna say that actually kind of works, because like in a lot of ways you're not really given a clear understanding, and it does take a little level of like doing some research, but on a real level, it does take also some very critical thinking to not accept the first bit of research that you get. Mm-hmm. It's like whenever like what we're looking at right now is like to just like click on Wikipedia, and then like not click on another link to see if that matches up.
That's
true.
Like
it does take a little bit a level of being not so naive to think that whatever is on that screen is the reality of the situation.
I think people are trying to put a bunch of this together, because what's actually interesting about the age of Aquarius, because I pulled up Saturn because I was trying to figure it out. So Saturn was actually the Roman, which is crazy how everything kind of goes back to the Romans, but really weird. Yeah, Romans and Greece, bro, because they had a lot of the same mythology, just different names for everything.
Isn't that like a Christianity thing though? Or was it before Christianity came out?
No, the first form of Christianity originated in Rome.
Yeah.
Rome. And I think, I believe Greeks predated the Romans, if I'm not mistaken.
If the zodiac is Greek?
Well, Greek mythology came first,
right?
And then the Romans kind of the same gods, different names,
right?
Okay,
and they kind of put more of a stance like this is what it is, and where the Greek, you think about the Greek philosophers, even we learn in school, is like Plato, Aristotle, for Socrates. They were more philosophers and different things. Although they did have religious setup, some would consider it like paganistic, and then they also worship the god, because anything considered paganistic would always be a pantheon of gods, and you're dealing with nature and nature spirits, and you're deifying different forces of nature, right? So that's what the Greeks more was. So, but the Roman. So the only reason Catholicism actually even was invented in Rome is because the Romans, according to the story, right? The Romans were actually the one who persecuted Yahshua, better known as Jesus Christ. Yeah. They were the ones who persecuted him. Yeah. So when Christ came, according to the stories, the Greeks were far gone already. It was the Rome. Well, the Greeks never left, right? Because there's Greek people here today. We can go to the mall and eat Greek food. The Greeks never left. They just stopped being the overarching power. Because we talking about the Romans, you talking about Julius Caesar, you know what I mean?
Constantine was a big one.
What I'm saying? These are people who didn't play any games. You believe what I believe or you die.
Yeah.
So, and it's crazy. And it's crazy because even with Christianity, the first actual Christians were Jews.
Right, yeah.
Because who else could it be?
No, they were Jewish, yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus was Jewish.
King of the Jews, right?
Yeah.
It is kind of crazy to think, though, because like all of our planets are named after Roman gods, which associate with still other Greek gods. So in a way, when you think about astrology and people do that, we're still in a way worshiping old gods.
Roman gods.
It kind of goes. So I've talked to him about this because people were giving him shit for it. Bring it up a lot because it just still blows my mind. So Terrence Howard explained how, like, in a sense, the sun. He didn't explain it in that way. He explained it in kind of a different way, but essentially what he's saying was like the sun kind of is like a god, right? It's like I guess like the parent figure, and the sun births the planets, right? Because things come off of the sun, right, and it materializes into what becomes a planet eventually.
No, definitely.
And then as time goes on, the planets shift and move. You know what I mean? And that's why like Pluto was a planet. Eventually it dies off, right? So it's like the way he's explaining it, it's like the planets essentially are kind of like the sun's children.
And on a conceptual level, that kind of makes it make a lot of sense as to why life, to our at least understanding, doesn't exist on either Venus or Mars. Like we could potentially live in that Goldilocks zone of where life is actually capable of
That's what he was saying too, is there is a Goldilocks zone where people are basically an incubation period of like where we're at in the universe between the sun and wherever the dying part is, and the Earth right now is able to create life where we're at.
And like beyond that, that concept kind of leads to the idea that like our solar system is more so, when you look at it on like a model, it's more so of like a timeline. Is that this like where Mercury is currently, Earth was previously, before our time, before any of us ever existed in this but also we can look at it from this perspective of like how we view Mars could be how our future is like destined to become, basically. Right. You know what I mean?
Because they have so many similarities in between each other.
And it seems like Mars is pretty much Earth without water, and like a lot, obviously, like chemicals in the air, higher temperatures. Obviously, gravity's different. I'm not saying it's the same exact thing, but like you can see a level of progression there to how maybe that happened.
And there's theories that, aliens, right? It's just how the human species would progress as we get further from the sun, less sunlight, less water.
The gray beings with the big eyes that your eyes develop because you have to see in darker places.
Of course, all theories. But it is kind of a crazy concept how you would look as the planets as children of the sun, because it would play into the mythology thing too. You know what I mean, like the gods. And I just do think it's weird how we still in a way kind of worship those old deities. But I do want to say the god of Saturn was it was the god of wealth, the god of time. Yes, Kronos, exactly. Yeah. Time. Father Time. Essentially. And people, like, for some reason, that still has a lot of weight. And people are still believing. Well, it blows my mind because we're like, that's stuff of the past.
Right.
But not really. It's still very prevalent today. So why do you think, Age of Aries, could you go into that a little bit more?
Yeah, I believe it's the age of Aries because you don't set a clock backwards, unless I'm wrong, and maybe we set the clock backwards, and then we're going back to front. But I know that every clock starts off at 12, and then you go to 1. Now, even in that standpoint, right? Just how I was describing how it all comes full circle,
Mm-hmm.
literally, right? Because we're talking about the clock and
Talking about
the
zodiac.
zodiac.
Yeah.
So 12 represents completion. That's why they even have the 12th grade. They they don't have 13 floors on elevators. 12 is a prominent Jesus and the 12 disciples.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm pretty sure there's many other examples that I just can't think of right now. But 12 has always been a number of like, okay, this is complete, it's solid.
12
Even with
steps
like
of,
basketball rosters, I know the whole team is made up of 15 people, but only 12 people really play.
Isn't the process for like alcoholism, isn't it 12 steps, 12-step program?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like with
Yeah.
AA and everything. Yeah, exactly.
It's
Yeah.
like the 12th step is your
Mhm.
completion of the program, but I think part of the 12th step is that like you try to give back to other people that are trying to do that program. So
Exactly.
that's a weird
You never
one where
actually do in.
that's
the
a weird one
program.
where it's not really like the completion is not really something that you achieve because
Yeah.
you continuously are trying to achieve that.
Right.
I guess so. That's not the best example, but just another.
But no,
12.
that's
Yeah,
a
yeah.
perfect example because now we're talking about 12. We're talking about the energy in Pisces. And I don't know if you ever had a Pisces friend. It's like they just got
Just flown
Like
with
that
it.
je ne- that je ne sais quoi.
Like they just keep going. Like it's like the 12 step. It's just like, okay, here today, go tomorrow. I don't know. It's like they're mysterious. It's just like, okay, so when does this actually end? Like when do I end this step? It's like, you know what I mean? So that's why the 13th represents the real completion. Because so let's go back to the why I think it's age of Aries though. We don't get
And
into
what would that mean too?
The age of Aries is just so basically on Earth it's 12,000 ages, right? Well, eras. It's every 12,000 years. It's a new cycle on Earth, right? This is when we get the Ice Age and all these different things. Even when you go back to the dinosaurs, it comes in stages of 12,000 years, but because we weren't there, we see it as a era of a million years, but we didn't see the progressive changing of the Earth. The Earth didn't just freeze over one day. Well, with the dinosaurs, it's different because we had the meteor and the ash cloud, right? But even when we get how we got from the dinosaurs dying off, but the little mammals that were there, they survived, and then the climate change to support more mammalian life and things coming out the water. These will all happen in cycles of 12,000 years, and because we're looking at so objectively in broad view, we're not looking at it that micro detail. And when you talk about the vastness of 65 hundreds of millions of years, 12,000 years would be very microscopic in comparison to that. So once you understand that it's in 12,000 years, some sources say 25,000 years, but whichever the case is, it would make sense. It's not a lot of research to know for sure. I kind of use my intuition and then add up the facts, the things that we can prove. But from what I know, that like I said, a clock doesn't set backwards, And even I was raised in a church, so I remember it would be an old saying. They'd be like, "It's almost midnight," and I never understood what that meant. They would always say it's almost midnight, but if you think about the clock again, when it's whether it's 12 noon or whether it's 12 midnight, it still hits that 12. And then especially at 12 midnight, you see this in all the Disney movies. The clock strikes 12. Cinderella had to make it back before 12. So it's like what's this common theme of midnight? But then the midnight is 12, and that's the Pisces energy. That's the 12th zodiac sign. So if we're using this on an astrological basis, if the clock struck 12 and it is now midnight, the world's going up in flames. It's literally, I think the other year was like 100 degrees in like the winter when in Seattle and the whole town burnt down. One of the rainiest, coldest cities in America. It's like the earth is shifting. There was an earthquake in Texas like a month ago. The same day was a earthquake in California somewhere. So it's like the earth is changing and we're experiencing the ending of this last cycle. So that's why you're seeing the climate change or what they will. Scientists are very smart. but they can only observe from the outside looking in.
Mm-hmm.
And modern science, while it has advanced us, it cannot explain how indigenous cultures knew the same things that they know now from all these tests and big facilities and stuff. How did people in Africa or India have the whole solar system mapped out if they were primitive? And or even Native Americans, how did they know about the Great Spirit and all these different things? How would they call North America Turtle Island? And then if you look at the map of North America, it actually looks like a turtle. You know what I mean? With Maine being the head of the turtle.
Yeah,
and
I know what you're talking about. Like Florida's the fin.
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of crazy.
You know, this is a little off topic, but kind of on. I think it is crazy how America used to be like full of buffalo, and like we used to have all
Oh,
this
man.
land and stuff, and like that was like one of the main native animals we had,
Buffaloes.
and we don't have them really.
No.
Well, no,
Anymore,
definitely.
'cause they were
It's
killed-
more of
'cause they
a
killed a lot of 'em
cultivation thing. Yeah, the buffalo soldiers.
Yeah, they killed
Well, that's a
a-
different
no,
topic.
yeah,
No, yeah.
but they
No,
killed a lot
yeah.
of them off
The
to like hinder the natives of the
Yeah.
land. They like just they're like, we're gonna kill all your fucking animals.
Well,
It's just-
yeah,
they
that-
realized it was a sustainable part of their culture. It wasn't just their food. It was a lot of their clothing, a lot of their livelihood was built off of those livestock. So like that was basically their best tactic in a world without nukes.
And it's when you
No,
look at
real.
it is weird because, of course, it goes back to the history is rewritten by the victor. I think we look at a lot of these past societies as primitive, but even when you think back to Greek before they burned down the library, they probably had a ton of, documents of just everything, right?
Oh yeah.
And just even the natives, when they were able to map out, the stars. There was at one point like Stonehenge. I'm pretty sure that like a lot of those stones were used as like clocks and stuff. They would.
Oh yeah, it was a
they-
sundial.
Yeah, they
it
would
was
use
a- yeah.
sundials and stuff. So
But
I
it was
mean,
more than a sundial, but it was almost like we're talking about the planets. When certain planets would align, it would make a light and show them if you knew how to work it. It's like an older technology, that we still don't really understand. But
because they were using more.
When the clock strikes 7, you will see the image.
For real. I think it's crazy because I think now we've strayed further. Like their technology then was more in tune with the nature around them. Okay, we're back. Hell yeah! But what I was talking about was I feel like technology then was more in tune with nature, whereas technology now is way further from it. I mean, most technology we use actually destroys the earth that we live in.
yeah, it's inorganic, and
Yeah.
actually they're actually opposites, or what they would call antithesis, because if you leave your phone in the sun, you can't use your phone. That phone malfunctions. Just say it's too hot, can't use it. Get it in water, even if it's waterproof and water resistant. Okay, leave your phone in water for a day and see if it works after you pull it out. You know what I mean? So they're not even made to work in accordance with nature, where I feel like, just like we were talking, like Stonehenge, even the Mayan pyramids, the pyramids of Giza, all these ancient structures that have lasted, as far as we know, thousands or tens of thousands of years. Who knows how old they can actually be, right? The reason they last so long is because they work with nature and not work against it. Right. Like even with just like how we have power right now, electricity. You see these what they would call electricity poles when they're running the transformers, and they're running the lines with a bird sit and everything. These things are made of wood because they tell us that wood cannot conduct electricity. And this is true, but this is what they didn't tell you. Wood can conduct electricity if it's alive. So when it's an actual tree with its roots buried in the ground and actually a living being thing, it can conduct electricity. Otherwise, why would lightning strike a tree? You know what I mean?
If you touch that tree once it strikes too, you can get electrocuted.
Exactly. You know what I mean? But it can't strike dead wood
Right.
because it's not alive. It's dead.
There's nothing for the current.
It's no
pass through.
current there.
It is a
Yeah.
crazy thing to think about. People always like plants are alive, but they don't think about that stuff. I mean, when you think of like mycelium networks and trees and roots and stuff, all that stuff, it always blows my mind. Like,
And also
Yeah,
something
it's
that
amazing.
Something that you touched on about like phones not being like made in ordinance with nature. It's like you could also make the inference that they're made by design outside of the ordinance of nature to keep people inside, to keep people away from adventuring to their natural perspectives,
Well,
to
no.
protect these things
Yeah,
that we
100%.
utilize as tools.
Oh, something I forgot stuck on the court.
Okay.
No, yeah, no, definitely. I definitely think that's an agenda there, and I don't want to demonize anyone. I always like to go for the higher ups. I don't
Mhm.
like to go for the workers.
No, yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not the guy who works at Apple. You know what I mean?
No,
It's
yeah.
not the manager even. It's not even the general manager. It's the guy in the Apple headquarters, and I'm not talking about Apple. This is hypothetical, right?
An
Just as an
example, yeah.
example, hypothetical for entertainment purposes only. You know, don't sue me, please. I can't afford it. I cannot.
You already won. Don't even try.
Don't even. Hey, we love Apple. I got an iPhone. It's right here. Somebody. It's okay. It's okay. You
I
know?
got an iPhone.
I love Apple. But no, it's the guy in the boardroom saying, "This is what we're gonna do." Just like the same guy decides what type of music we're gonna listen to. At one point, man, I remember like I want to really say from like 2008 to like 2017. It was the most good music we have ever heard, the best music we ever heard in our life. It was spiritual, it was life changing, but it still had like a little beat to it, and it still had a little pop and rhythm to it, but it was real, it was authentic. Somewhere around 2017 or 2018, people just started riding. I got the Draco, and I'm like, bro, what? I'm just like, bro, what is this, bro? They're like, yeah, have you heard? And everybody got YFN or YBN, or I'm just like, what is this? YBN, NLE, and I like NLE because he did do the spiritual route, but then he came back to, I don't know, so maybe he just playing the game. So shout out NLE. But it's
We're playing the game.
I think he's playing the game, you know, because remember NLE
yeah,
Chopper,
he
he
was
got
doing
real spiritual. He was selling sea malls. He was doing, you know what I mean. He was like, yeah, y'all gotta get y'all chakras, and now all of a sudden, let me nut on your butt.
I mean,
you know, it's like he's
let
like
me pull up into yours, just fucking see what goes on. I mean,
it's like, you know, so they play. I know the game. I recognize the game. You know what I mean? You know, I recognize the game. I salute him. You know what I mean? But all I'm saying is, what were we really talking about? I lost my main
Technology.
Oh yeah, technology, man. So
by design.
inorganic technology, and this is actually, I'm really passionate about this because this is actually why I dropped out of college. So I went to Texas State University for a year.
Mm-hmm.
I was there for computer sciences and to be a computer scientist, but I was in a school of science with dealing with computers, so like software engineering, developing, coding.
It's actually what I do now. Well, not a software engineer. I am technically my job field is information technology.
Really? Oh,
Yeah,
awesome,
yeah.
man. Yeah. So
Yeah.
when I was going to school for it, at the time, it was 2013. I think the iPhone 5S just came out. So this shows you how far I feel old now. But it's 2025, so that was 12 years ago.
Man.
Yeah, you know what I mean? The 5S, dude. You remember the 5S? It was
Yeah.
like if it finally changed designs. It wasn't like this
it was
big
like the
bulky
box.
iPhone. Yeah. But anyway, they were telling us to come up. I remember I had one assignment, and they were telling us to state one, like, explain your perspective on where technology is going and what you could do with technology to further it. Because if you're being a computer scientist on the level that they wanted us to be, we're supposed to be innovators.
Yeah.
So they're like, okay, what's an idea for the future you have? And I'm just like, well, there's nothing left to do because once the 5S came out, that's when they got the Siri and the voice control.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, okay, we talk to the phone, we touch the phone, we can program it, tell it. The only step other than this is to connect it to your brain somehow. That's the only other step to make it more integrated. But then, at the way my professor got so disgusted at that idea, like it would never happen. And then I see things like nowadays with the Neuralink. I'm just like, wow, you know what I mean? It's just like it's kind of obvious. It's not. I'm not a genius or anything. It's like anybody who actually studies the craft, you could see the pattern of where it was going. You talk to it, you touch it, it's in your lap. What else you gonna do is but just directly link it to your brain. You know, now you think. Now I can think. Hey, call. Oh, I don't know what the.
No, don't worry.
Oh,
I don't know what.
you know what I'm saying? I can think. Call Josh. You know what I mean? I can think. You know what I'm saying?
Like weird timing.
I know, right?
The computer's got some comedic timing.
It's like wait a minute, man.
I can think. Like, wait. Whoa.
You can think too, Mr. Computer.
Hey man, I'm just saying. Hey, nothing's a coincidence. No, but with the technology, along with my story, so then I would go find different groups to be in. Like they had like a big quad where everybody had their booths up and like, hey, save the children. Hey, the Christians. The guy standing on the fountain talking about preaching the gospel of Christ. You know, and then off back in the back, you know, it was people who were chill, and I was like, okay, let me go over here because there's a lot going on. I feel like a shooting's about to happen right here. It's like, no, I'm about to let me go over here to the back, and it is like people with plants, and I'm like, oh man, y'all grew this? I'm like, wow. So you're like, yeah, here's some free seeds. And I was like, man, can I want to grow with y'all. I want to go. Y'all got the greenhouse. I want to go grow with y'all. You know. So I did it for a little bit, and then I started realizing, going back and forth between gardening and computer science, I realized the only conclusion I can come to is that Earth itself is a giant computer, but an organic computer. So all humans can do, like when we build the pyramids, we put the electric poles, we're only installing a new software, but the computer is Earth, and it is the motherboard. But with that motherboard, all things can exist through that motherboard. It's so wide and it's so vast. You can actually install almost any software and it will grow.
There's a bunch of systems that work and connect. I mean, it works on electricity. Like naturally, there's electricity that it works on, and also, not to go back to Terrence Howard, but he was talking about magnetism. How magnetism plays a big part.
Plays a very big part. Everybody clown Terrence Howard, and that's why Joe Rogan got that guy on there. And I'm not dissing Joe Rogan by any means, but I know a psyop when I see it. Joe Rogan is a very powerful person. His podcast is funded and sponsored by a lot of different things. Okay, so let's just be clear. Terrence Howard made absolute sense, but he's dealing with things that we cannot.
That's all I'm saying.
He's dealing with things that science cannot prove, and whenever you go against the scientific standard or the medical standard, they will crucify you, and they will make you out to be seen like a lunatic. And this is nothing. It's nothing new under the sun.
What's kind of funny about the Terrence Howard situation is that anyone that has an agenda was against him, and anyone that didn't was like, wow, this guy's kind of spitting right now.
Exactly.
But it's like, it just clearly just divided the people that have some stake in the conversation of whether or not there is what he was talking about like renewable sources of energy and all of these different things in our current, like,
I mean, he's trying to disprove gravity. You know what I mean?
But even that was just like,
I did that on my live the other day. I had a whole argument when somebody was telling me that gravity was real, and I was like, no, it's a magnetism. You're magnetically attracted to the Earth.
yeah.
You know, and then they'll be like, no, it's the gravity and the repulsion and it's the stars and the universe. And I'm just like, okay, so how can you tell me all these things about how the stars and the universes and the repulsion work, but you don't believe in astrology and the energy of the planets all having an influence on Earth if gravity's real?
Like,
and they keep going. It's cyclical logic. I know it's a lot of people who are in the scientific community, because you have to go to college, you have to get that doctorates, you have to do that. So you're inundated with books written from another person.
Yeah.
But at the same time, how can a man in a loincloth, feathers on his head, sleeping in a teepee, have the same knowledge you do, but he had the knowledge so simple that a 5-year-old could understand? But yet, it takes you to come over here and say, yeah, well, you know, you're talking about the protons and electrons and the gravitational force and xenonics. And it doesn't take all of that.
It's keeping the gate on the information.
We're just overcomplicating.
It's overcomplication. I don't know if it's because of ego, because you want to sound smarter. I don't know if you feel the need, because I felt that need before. You know, if I'm intelligent, I feel the need to show people my intelligence.
Yeah.
But the mark of intelligence is simplifying something. Just like that's the whole point of a teacher. Uh, None of those. Every teacher had to go to college to be a teacher.
Right.
But none of those kids have been to those college classes. So how was the teacher going to be able to teach the kids?
Correct.
You know what I mean?
I mean, beyond that, it's just the teacher is taking a perception of what they're learning, not knowing that almost none of that will actually be applicable towards like the realm of the classroom.
Right.
Like to just be able to get through to one student, that is a different conversation of being able to control a social environment
Mhm.
of 20 to 30 to sometimes 40 and 50 kids.
Mhm.
Trying to get each one to understand that concept
Mhm.
through the realm of what that classroom has to offer.
Mhm.
It's just like it's not. I think we have oversimplified our education system at cost of our education system. Like we don't actually complicate things enough to where people take certain things to be important.
Like we don't initiate critical thinking as
At
much
all.
as we should.
It's just-
That's more so where
Yeah,
it's at.
yeah.
If you understand what I'm telling you,
Yeah.
not what you should be thinking
Yeah.
from what I'm telling you. If you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth, then I'll pass you.
But we haven't done. I mean, critical thinking in schooling systems hasn't been around realistically.
That's
Not
never.
in
That,
our
I don't think that's ever been a thing unless you were in a private or preparatory school.
Yeah.
Or even what's the other schools? The Montessori's.
Right.
Though
yeah,
they
yeah.
teach critical thinking. The public
Mhm.
school system is just, all right, here we go.
But then you look at the
But-
percentage.
Do your thing.
Then you look at the percentages of like how many people are in public school versus private versus these other things. And
Oh,
it's just
right.
like, well, a large portion of our population has to deal with these things that are very solvable by just a matter of attention
Right,
planning.
and who can afford those things? Who can
Exactly.
afford private school? Who can afford Montessori schools? Those things are expensive, man.
It's honestly just dark to understand that like education is possible, but there's a cost. It's
Yeah.
like like you're talking about gatekeeping the science community. It's like you can have a scientific breakthrough, but if you can't get a single scientist to back this paper, it might not get published.
What was the guy who made the hydrogen water thing, like a fuel cars and stuff, and then somehow he just ended up.
Oh, I know what you're
Randomly
talking about. I
dead.
forgot his name, but bro, yeah, fell off the face of the earth out of
He-
nowhere as soon as he demonstrated his creation.
Yeah, and this happened recently and happened back in the 70s.
And like you hear about all the people who have cured cancer and then just aren't in practice anymore.
Yeah.
It's like what?
It's crazy.
How does
It's
that happen?
crazy. And I'm telling you, I've tried to attack it from all angles. So my speech pattern, I've gotten a little bit more dull. Not only because y'all know me, I tell it blood raw, but because of the position I'm in, I have to do it in certain avenues and certain innuendos because like even with my business, right? I'm a health food store. I deal with nutrition,
Mm-hmm.
natural products, helping heal, keyword heal, different parts of the body, based on the science of. The only reason I can say heal because these findings have already been prevalent on all the medical respected authorities.
Mm-hmm.
But I can never use the word cure because cure has been patented and can only be used in accordance with a pharmaceutical grade drug. So if I fed you CMOS and it cured, I don't know, your anemia, I wouldn't be able to say cure without going out of business and all the pharmaceutical companies come and sue me.
That's
Mm.
crazy.
You can only use cure in the standpoint of a pharmaceutical drug stopped or healed this illness. That's what cure means, a pharmaceutical grade drug. But that's the trick.
So anything on
So
a holistic
there is
level.
not a cure for cancer,
Mm.
but there's something that can stop it. You just can't say
Mm.
cure.
Mm.
That's the you see.
I mean, there's been
yeah.
a few different things that I've seen about cancer, different takes on it. I mean, there was, have you ever seen what's the one with Paul? They featured Paul Stamets in it. It's It's the Fantastic
the-
Fungi.
Oh yeah.
You
I've
seen that?
seen some of his. I can't tell you offhand the whole thing, but I like to listen to him in the background. So
Yeah.
I've absorbed a lot of his information.
He's very informative on the different like impacts, effects, and like not even just like on a personal level, but on like an environmental level.
Mhm.
All types
He
of
seems
mushrooms.
very
Of
genuine.
different types of mushrooms, anything that has to do with mycelium.
Did
really.
you hear the story? Is that the same one when he told the story of his mother? What
That's
was
the
it?
one I was about
Oh,
to
okay,
say.
yeah,
I was
okay,
about to say that.
yeah, okay.
For those of you who don't know,
Okay, okay.
essentially, I think it was the turkey tails that he was giving his
Uh-huh.
mom, but he was giving her turkey tail mushrooms every day. She had, I forget, I wish I could say what type of cancer it was, but she did have a form of cancer. And,
It was either lung or brain. It was some. I really think it was the brain, but just go check it out on YouTube. Paul Stamets, it's there. The Fantastic Fungi.
yeah, it's great.
Mhm.
But he did essentially he healed
Right.
her cancer.
Yeah.
Yeah, she got her cancer was unalived. As
Well, y'all can say cure because y'all don't have the.
We're not
the-
selling anything.
Yeah, see, so it's because I am moving with a
You have a
separate
business that-
entity as an
exactly.
LLC. Now that entity is under that stipulation, so
That is-
anybody can say it. You can say it, but
that is interesting though.
in
how
the
they
business
have
world.
coined a word that is specifically used if you buy a product. You know, like if you have something that's holistic, it doesn't require a product being sold, but like you're no longer able to say that is a cure.
Mhm.
That is insane to me.
But that's a common word. It has been a
That's what I'm
common
saying.
word. So imagine.
To be able to remove it from a business being able to use it as part of their like advertising or even just awareness, like, hey, this happened. It's
They-
no longer occurring.
They got to it first, and
Yeah.
you can trademark and you can patent anything if you get to it first. It's fair game.
That's, I
But
guess,
the way
fair
they did
and
it
true.
wasn't kind of, it's teeter tottering on the
Yeah.
levels of
I think
morality.
It's the conversation. It's a fair game, but how many people are playing it?
Right?
It's like how many people are even aware that this game is?
How many
being
people
played?
know the rules?
Yes, exactly.
That's the
Or
thing,
The
you know.
parameters. How do you know when you step out of bounds in this game? How do you know? Like,
You remember when we used to have people like we would have people come over our house and we had a sleepover nights when we were young, and we had I don't know it doesn't matter if we had Mortal Kombat, Tekken, the
Yeah.
midnight racing games or
in my
whatever.
club, hell yeah.
But like, do you remember having that one friend who didn't play that game, and then you played that game with him, and you just whopped the floor with him every time, and he doesn't want to play the game anymore? But
no, I'm kidding.
his face.
I don't even think we played any games together. I was like,
No, honestly,
I'm talking about like when you were young and like
the
it's
only
like
games me and Daniel would play together was Madden.
Oh,
He would
okay.
come over, we would play Madden together. And honestly, it was sometimes I'd beat his ass, but a lot of times it was just me sitting there very surprised at how bad I was at a game that I'm supposed to be good at.
right.
It's
You
like,
know.
he doesn't even play this shit.
Yeah.
Just beat my ass.
Oh,
right now.
a better example is the people who like how everybody plays online now.
Yeah.
Imagine a person who's played thousands of hours online and you just got the game like, oh man, all right, I beat the computer, I beat the game. Let me get online and see other people, and then just fucking mop the floor with
yeah,
you.
they will. Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
48
they've been
zeros.
doing it longer, so they know the ins and outs. They know you know what I mean? Even with the Call of Duty, like if you never played Call of Duty, you won't know when somebody's crouching up and down, you won't understand what they're doing. You think they're like trolling you or something, but like it's a real science to that. Like you could dodge a bullet like that. You know what I mean?
No, yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, to kind of exemplify on that, like the first time I ever played Madden, I played with Brad Woodard and fucking.
Oh,
I didn't even know what was going on. Like, it's not that I didn't understand it. Like, I knew
Shut
which
up,
buttons
Brad.
to press and stuff like that. But just halfway through, like, I just looked over. I was like, "Are you reading the defenses? Like, how are you doing this? Like, you know where I'm passing to." He's like, "Yeah, bro, you're too high on the safety." I'm like, "What does that mean?"
Yeah,
Like,
right.
But,
No.
yeah, it's just one of those things. Where it's like you obviously have a level of knowledge that I don't have on this game here,
Right.
and I don't know if I have a chance.
Right. Yeah. Like, and then especially in the case of Brad, he's been playing football since he was little bit, so he understands the science of it. And that's just like I don't know if y'all seen. Shout out Brad though. I seen an Army veteran playing Call of Duty for the first time, and he
Bro.
came out top.
Did you see the dude who was he plays without hands? He doesn't have hands.
What the? I ain't seen that one.
It's
That's
like
crazy.
there. At first, he started streaming with like I wish I knew his name so I could shout him out. But he started streaming with like what's it called, prosthetics.
Mm-hmm.
And then he created like I don't. It was either an algorithm or something based off of like you could control the screen, like what's happening on the screen with eye movement.
Oh,
So like the way like he moves his eyes was moving the character in the game. So like he wouldn't even have to utilize his hands.
Oh wow.
It was kind of crazy.
It
But
sounds
then,
like
It's
some
almost like
Starlink shit.
VR
but
type
then,
of.
like bro started getting ranked in like different games and leaderboards and stuff like that. And it's like this is a person without hands.
Oh wow, that's
beating you on
crazy.
either controller or keyboard, whichever one you want to call
That's
it.
insane. That's almost like that one guy who's playing basketball. I forgot his name.
Oh, you talking about
With the
dude
one
without
with the
left arm?
hand. Yeah.
Hansel.
Don't laugh.
You laugh at his name or him not having
No,
an
yeah,
arm?
no, because he's like, yeah, he doesn't have like an arm or a hand. His name's Hansel.
Bro.
I was like, that's crazy.
Hey, shout out Hansel, man.
Yeah, I was like, what are the
Shout out
odds of
Hansel,
a dude with no hand being called Hansel, dude?
And it's like Daniel thought about it. He was like,
It's just like, yeah, his name is Hansel.
Hansel Emmanuel.
Emmanuel. Shout out Hansel Emmanuel, man. He is. And like
Hey,
sometimes like
no Hansel.
all respect.
One Hansel.
all-
Hey, he's doing okay for himself though. So okay, it's not
oh my
like
god.
it's not like he's like down too bad. You know what I mean?
No.
He's got highlights.
But
think he went
sometimes
D1.
I do wonder what things.
Sorry.
Oh man, put that on the bloopers. Oh. But when it comes to like people like Hansel and stuff or other, I see just how human beings naturally work. When you see somebody that is handicapped in some way, it seems that people don't try as hard. And I'm not taking anything away from them, but I've watched some of his highlight videos, and it's like
Just
I
cut that
could
shit off.
rip, I could,
Cut that shit off.
I
dog.
could rip you every time you dribble the ball because you cannot go anywhere else.
Literally, it's like you have one arm. I'm gonna push you the way of the other arm.
But at the same time, I've never guarded him. So I
That is
I
fair.
can't,
I've had that thought process about the NBA in a lot of different ways about like how some guys seem like they're playing defense and some guys don't.
Mhm.
And for something like the NBA, it makes a lot of sense. You have marketing, you have ratings,
Oh,
you
right.
have all these different.
And now they
things
got the
where it's
Draft
important.
Kings and all
Yeah,
that. So
yeah,
it's
there's
like,
a lot
yeah.
of like money being thrown around on that scale. So like I understand not putting a hand up when it's Steph Curry, because if he hits the three, then the crowd's gonna go wild and everyone's gonna make this a highlight and da 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 da. I don't understand when you're in high school trying to get to college, just letting someone blow by you and then allowing your teammate who you have to go to fucking class with tomorrow to get slammed on just because you decided not to play defense. Like, I just don't get it.
It did make
sometimes.
fun of him because he got dunked on.
You got dunked up by a dude with one arm.
But you let your man pass. You let him pass you first. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh man, it's crazy.
I kind of
dude.
love that shit. But I have thought about that in the past where I'm like, come on, put a fucking hand up. It's Steph Curry.
No, like yeah, like Steph. See, that's one of those things. You're just really talented. Like he's been doing that, and he just would shoot shots underneath the basket constantly. But then his dad was in the NBA,
Yeah.
so that's a whole nother story.
People
But,
talk about nepotism when it comes to Steph Curry, but let Bronny James come up.
No, yeah, for sure, man. But this all goes back and see, this is the thing about the truth, and a lot of people can't pull the truth out of a lot of things because that's why I was saying this is how it all come full circle. So we're talking about the scientific community and the medical standards, scientific standards. They can only repeat what they said to you. If you have a question for them, they can only repeat the same thing they just said. That's why I like Neil deGrasse Tyson, because his overview and the way he explains things, he makes it so simple that someone can understand. So I see that is the mark of a true teacher, a true educator. Whereas if I get up here and I say all these big words and most of them are theories, but I'm still trying to make you inferior because you don't know anything about it, man, no, only a handful of people have even been to space, quote unquote. That's a whole nother story. I had only a handful of people been to space, and I know the same planets you're talking about, you ain't been to. So you can't tell me about the surface of Mars and the things of this if you don't really know it. Because if it was that NASA has all this information about Mars, why is this not public information? Why can't I go on YouTube and see NASA rover footage of Mars? I have to go dig through the web and do all these things because it's another thing going on here. What that thing is, I'm not even going to quantify it. I'm just going to stop relying on them for the information. I'll use them as buffers. So it's like I'll go and do the research myself, come to my own conclusion, and then when NASA comes out with something, it can tell me like, oh, I'm going in the right direction because these are people who, and no disrespect to NASA, these are people who have to hide information. They have to. They're a government.
They're paid to.
Do you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? They cannot tell the masses everything they find as they find it. So yes, they have to hide information, right? And they cannot tell us everything, right? But at the same time, if I'm already having a premonition about something based on my research, logically, spiritually, emotionally, and then I go on NASA website and then I see something that confirms that, I know that I'm going the right direction, so I dig further that way. You know, that, and that's what real intelligence is. Intelligence is not listen to somebody speak, and then you go tell somebody what the other person just told you, and then you tell it. That's why I hate when people's like, oh, yeah, Sigmund Freud, or how you say it, Sigmund Freud, or Jim Carl Jung.
That's so
it's like, yes, these were great.
Throwing words around,
You know what I'm saying? It's like they were great teachers in their own right, I guess, but do you before you tell me what they were saying, do you understand what you're saying? Or are you about to tell me the same exact thing that they told you?
Just regurgitating.
Just for me to say what makes you say that, and you're like, it doesn't make sense. It made sense to me.
You know what's crazy is
You're not really intellectual. You know, you wouldn't get it. You wouldn't understand.
You seem to be not understanding what I'm saying.
Bro, critical thinking used to be such a skill that they coined a term for it, and they called them philosophers.
Literally.
You get called
Or futurists.
Yeah, you were like, dude. Oh, what do you like? You have critical thinking. I remember when I was in high school, there would be points where I would just try to cause I've always been inquisitive and just trying to understand things. Like, oh, dude, are you philosopher?
Yeah.
I just embraced it.
But they associate that with because you're trying to get a real understanding for yourself. You're not just most people go to class, and I see this now. And this is a warning. I see this. My girlfriend just got out of school. She's a certified radiology tech now after like a year and a half.
Oh yeah, good for her.
She told me so many stories, right? And I'm not gonna say any specifics, but just know that most of your medical professionals that are out here now and just getting into the medical professional field, they cheated.
Oh, definitely.
They use Spark Notes.
Fuck no, they didn't even use Spark Notes.
Or they had the test.
Chat GPT now.
Chat GBT. I'm telling you, man, that they don't understand this. So when you go to the doctor's office, make sure you ask them questions.
Yes,
because
please.
they know they just do it. I'm not saying that they incompetent by any means.
No, but they are.
But
that's the problem is that they fucking are. And as someone who does work in the medical field, I can't speak on specifics.
Right,
But
exactly. You know what I'm saying?
ask questions, please. Ask a lot of questions. Ask every question.
I'm tired of going to the doctor's office, and every time they're in there for 5, I wait for the doctor to come. The nurse got to take the vitals and everything, whether it's my son, me, or anybody. They take my vitals. They come in there, okay, all right, and what are you here for? Okay, the doctor be in a minute. 15 minutes go by, 20 minutes go by, 30 minutes go by. Doctor finally get in there, be like, oh, well, I don't see anything wrong here. Yeah, just do what you were doing, and then yeah, I'll see you next time. 6 months.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. I'm like, bro,
I'd be sitting
here's
there.
your bill.
I'd be sitting there at the front
$3,000.
office. I'd be sitting there at the front office like, see, so nothing, huh? There's nothing? You sure?
Yo,
What do you want me to tell this family? Like,
No.
are you serious?
But also at the doctor's office, what sucks too is like, oh, you want to try to figure something out? Well, that's gonna be a bunch of other scans, but that's gonna cost you way more.
Right. It is like, wait a minute, what?
Oh, I can't do that. You have to go to a specialist.
Yeah.
Everything's a fucking
Yeah,
specialist.
but now I understand that standpoint
It's
because
all just corporate stuff.
yeah, I understand that because if I'm like I was just saying, like my girlfriend's a radiology tech, she can see what bone is fractured and stuff, but she cannot diagnose you with a disease or
licensed.
any,
No, yeah.
you know what I mean. So yeah, I understand the specialist, but the whole thing about the the structure of the medical industry is that everything should be a one-stop shop. I
That's
should
what
have
I'm saying.
everything in house. And then the other problem I have with the medical industry is how do you have a multi-million-dollar campus? You talk about health. Even when I go on the checkups, you say, just eat some vegetables. Just eat some protein or this magnesium or whatever. Why is there no garden in any hospital campus I have seen? If somebody's seen one, please let me know. I want to see it.
I mean, it's not like a botanical garden or anything like that, but they might have a couple flowers out front for
Right,
decoration.
I'm talking about
like
a-
you're talking about like something
a-
that's actually healing properties.
Wouldn't that
at the place where we're healing people?
Wouldn't that kind of make sense? Like, I mean, it's I can see if it was just like a privately owned clinic, and it's just like I'm doing this out of my own pocket, right?
No, yeah.
But a multi-million-dollar facility, I'm not gonna say the names.
I know what
You
you
know what I mean? It could go down the line with all the saints, right? You know what I'm saying? But why is there no garden? And why is that's? Do you know that soil is the most anti-inflammatory thing on this earth? Touching soil and dealing with soil, whether it be your hands, your feet,
Touch grass.
grass too. These have the same effect as any antidepressant.
Yeah, I was actually gonna say earlier, like, do you believe in like that when people say like digging your feet in the soil like that?
Oh no, 100%. I do it every day. Now I don't dig my feet in the soil because I don't have time, but I do go barefoot. Like when I garden barefoot. You know, I'm on the soil. You know, yeah, for sure. And that's what and it's hard to quantify it, right? Because science likes to quantify things. They like to back everything up behind a mathematical solution. And this is true. You can back something up with a mathematical solution. Even if we get in spiritual, you can back these things up. That's why they have things like numerology and quantum physics. All of these are old scientists that indigenous people already knew. If you don't think quantum science is real and Native Americans and indigenous people didn't know quantum science, how did the whole civilization, the ones we still looking at their calendars today, how did they disappear overnight? Where did they go? So either y'all know where they went and you're not telling us, or you still haven't figured out. So unless we have an authority, and I don't think there's ever going to be an authority in life, because that's not to say be rebellious against the government or anything. I'm just saying, like, there are authorities of science, there are authorities of medical industry, but until we come to a conclusion about a lot of things, right, we cannot really call you an authority. In a certain stance, you just kind of a little ahead of us, and we're all still figuring out, you know, because humans didn't die of these same diseases that we dealt with. And then people make the argument, well, people would only live to the age of 30 and the age of 40. And I'd be like, okay, so if that's the case, then how are most people religious, and especially Christians, how are you going to tell me that a man lives 700 years? So even when we talking about that standpoint, or even when we talking about the standpoint of all these ancient Roman and Greek and Persian emperors, they didn't die at 38 and 35. The only time people start dying that young and stuff was when everybody got overpopulated in one centralized system. And it really started around like the Dark Ages and the medieval times when the plagues and all that stuff.
Inflated?
Huh?
Isn't that number inflated by like the infant mortality rate?
Yeah.
Like it's not like people actually just.
If you keep
didn't
putting
live past
0, 0,
35,
0,
yeah.
and then you add up all the
all
people.
the 98s are gonna get down to 35
Yeah.
once you have a fuck ton of zeros. Like I mean, I think that's why people use that math weird, where it's like the average lifespan. It's like, yeah, I mean, sure.
Yeah,
like,
right.
you've met a person that's 90 years old, right? Our average lifespan right now is 78.
Right.
So you're not understanding that math already.
Right. And how are there people pre-modern medicine that just passed in the 19th or the 20th century, and we hear all these stories in the 18th century and 17th century of these people being died at the ripe old age of 70 or 80, and all these people have been dying at 80 and 100, and it was a common thing. So I hate when people say, oh, people would die at the age of 30, and it's just like, some people?
Yeah.
What's the context? Like, was it this village that was dirty and they didn't take baths? Then yeah, it kind of makes sense why they died.
30 years old in 2025 and you go to the south side of Chicago, you might not make it. I'm just saying. your lifespan
You
might
know what I
end.
mean? Was it? I believe this town was it Okinawa, Japan?
Yeah.
The average life expectancy is like above 100. I believe so.
I think you're right about that.
It's like 102, 103 or something.
Yeah, it was the last time they updated it was like I think it was in 2008, and it was at like 98 or something like that. And then over the last 15 years or something like that, it's increased somehow, which doesn't really add up.
That's
There's
insane.
like the pandemic in that time frame and everything. It's like, okay, you guys are doing something right.
Right. No, yeah, but I always like to speak in a manner that doesn't disrespect anybody specifically, because when you talk about belief systems, you can't talk about understanding life without talking about belief systems and everything. So I never try to offend anybody per se. I was raised Roman Catholic 18 years.
Yeah.
But I understand these things, like even when we get into when I was talking about the zodiac wheel, it's just so many things that's taken from everything. Is all a mix up. Like with the zodiac wheel, I'm a Gemini, right? So the 30 days equals 30 degrees. So what they were trying to do was perfect the zodiac wheel. They weren't actually sticking. They weren't actually sticking to the actual constellation, because no constellation is an equal size. So each constellation has a different size. For example, Sagittarius constellation is way bigger than a lot of other constellations, along with the Taurus constellation. So when it's going through its cycle, it's going to last longer than others. But respectively, the whole calendar is supposed to be made off the moon. And that's why the Asians and the Chinese are so smart, because they base their calendar off the lunar New Year. Because the moon has more of the essence of the cycles of the earth, because the moon controls the tides and everything. The sun's always going to be there to whatever extent it is. But the real interaction that you're going to get, and the fastest, quicking interaction you're going to get, is dealing with the moon. You need to utilize both of them, but the moon is more responsive, faster than the sun. The sun's so far away, can't even touch it. Well, the moon is right there, and it changes energies every 2 days. That's where you get the word moody from. You know what I mean? Even Moody Gardens, the Moody family, the prefix of that is moo. That's why the cow says moo to the moon, and the cat jumped over the moon, but the cat say meow, but he really saying meow. It's the moon, it's the moon, and even the ancient name of America was Mu, M-U. Yeah, it gets deep. You know what I'm saying? But even with that saying, in church you will have deacons in church,
Right.
but in astrology, each zodiac sign has a decan, which is D-E-C-A-N. So that's why every Gemini is the same. If I'm born on the first decan, I believe that you're ruled by Gemini. Is kind of hard. So I know that my decan, I'm ruled by Venus. So I'm the second decan. So I think Gemini starts off at May 21st to, it's 10 days. So May 21st to June 1st. So that's the first decan. The second decan is June 1st to June 10th. And then the third decan is from June 10th to June 20th. So all three of us have the same Gemini traits, but we have different ways of going about those Gemini traits. And it just keeps getting, it's just like this. It's no difference than you have continents, then you have countries, then you have cities, then you have people, then they have children, then you have it's everything is a
microcosm of the macrocosm.
Exactly. So it just keeps getting more and more dissected the farther you look. if we're looking at the microbials in our body, you can keep going until you get to the atom. But all these things are doing the same thing, just on the level that they're at. So it doesn't matter if it's zodiac, it doesn't matter if it's numerology, it doesn't matter if anything. You can find the truth to anything, but you have to actually be willing to look for it without a bias. And I think that's what separates a lot of people from understanding life is a bias. Like when people learn something new, they're either open to it, learning something new, or they already know what they want to be true. So they'll look for any reason for this to be true. But
Confirmation bias.
you don't have to look for things to be true. You can come in here with an open mind, pure heart, and then you can see the truth. You can go outside. You can go sit outside. You can see the truth. You can see the birds, the bees, the sky. And that sounds all cheesy nowadays, the way people make fun of it. But this is how we got here now. People didn't study the stars by looking at a roof.
Right.
Somebody had to be sitting outside.
Yeah.
We wouldn't know all these different animals if somebody wasn't going and dealing with these animals. We wouldn't know what a mustard green, a collard green, or orange is if somebody wasn't going out and planting the fruit and tending to them, studying them, observing them. So all things and all truth has only ever come from human observation. So while I'm saying we can learn from other people's observation, you have to observe it for yourself, because maybe the person is saying something true, but you may be able to enhance it based on your perception. And that's the same thing kids do all the time. We did it when we were kids. Kids are doing it now. We take the same things that have been given to us and twist it and flip it in our own way, and we make it more efficient.
Digestible.
Yeah.
What's weird though is like now I'm hearing you say this. It's kind of strange to me how like the idea of fuck. I just lost my train of thought, but I was gonna say something based on what you just said. Fuck.
About how we flip things.
Damn it.
About kids take things and make things more efficient.
Shit.
Change.
I lost it, but it was something. It was a word, and it was a saying. It was a sentence.
What was can you remember anything else about it? Oh.
It was no, because I had like a couple different thoughts on my head. I was thinking at first about like how the as above so below like kind of portrays back into like the solar system is like how certain thing have happened in say Mars or in Venus. It's like so we can kind of attribute back to some things that happened here.
Yeah, no, 100%. Earth is I know it's how do I say? Earth is the library of this particular solar system. It holds all the records of everything that's happened in this solar system. And the only reason I know this is from oral tradition. I am Native American or indigenous, and I didn't know that my whole life. So all this is new to me too. But I've heard a lot of oral traditions and different things. And then just even studying with the earth, working with the earth, that's why scientists always miss the mark. And a funny thing is, they say we're all born under sin. Do you know the reason why the Jewish temple is called the synagogue?
No.
Not because they're evil. I'm not doing the Kanye, even though we born the same day. I'm not doing the Kanye. Sin, S-Y-N, is actually the ancient name of the moon. So everything is born under the moon. And the moon synchronizes all the beastly natures of this earth, from the waters to the tides to the rain to the wind. The sun just gives us light, and it gives us a gravitational pull, how they would put it. But it's so far away, it can never directly influence our actual weather patterns. That's all the moon. The moon controls the weather. And that's why even Kid Cudi over there, they can't see it, but Kid Cudi over there, he made like 3 albums saying "Return to Mama Moon, Mama Moon, Mother Moon, Mother Moon." He keeps saying Mother Moon, Mother Moon, Mother Moon. And then people think like, oh, he's just tripping, he's on drugs. It's like, no, dude, you can't make music like that touches your soul just because you're on drugs. You have to feel that in your spirit. And it's just like anything else in life. You have to experience something for yourself in order to know for sure. whenever you rely on an external thing, you have to you have to experience first, then talk about it with other people who experience it or not experience it. Just like when we was kids, dad or your uncle would tell you this big drying story. It was like, oh yeah, and then I went out there, then we did this, and we did this, and then we did this, and that's how you learn. And then you like, oh man, I can't wait to see what I'm gonna do when I'm in that situation. But you wait until that situation to verify. You're gonna take those things as real up front because you trust that person. But at the same time, once you experience it, you're either gonna see if they were telling the truth.
He was tripping.
You see what I mean? Exactly.
But no, honestly, that I'm glad you said that because that reminded me of what I was gonna say. It is very weird to me how people have associated the term "do your own research" with just like crazy thinking that associates with flat Earth and associates with a bunch of things that people will say like, "Wow, you believe that? You're fucking crazy." But it's just like. Just the idea of doing your own research is actually so fucking necessary.
Critical thinking. Once again.
To just take your friend's word for it. It goes back to the old adage of if your friend jumped off a bridge, would you jump too? It's just like, well, as a critical thinker, if it was a bridge that I would clearly be okay for, I'd definitely jump off.
You know what I mean?
But that would be me assessing the situation, not taking after my friend and just jumping because he did.
Yeah, we need more context. Like
that is the grand scope of it. Is that, like, sure, sometimes your friends are onto something, and sometimes even if they're not your friends, people will tell you some shit that you should maybe be paying attention to. That doesn't just automatically negate you from any responsibility of having to fact check that, or not even fact check. Some of this shit has no facts. It's all faith, belief, and some things like that. But it's like to just not interact with those thoughts because someone else already did is asinine. You're not trying.
Right. You'd rather me do the work for you and then piggyback off me. You know what I mean?
You're signing your name on my project without any worry of whether or not this is correct.
Right. Have you ever did something new or original? And we were just talking about that with the comedians, full circle. Have you ever did that? Like even when we was younger, you'll tell a joke or you'll start saying something and you'll make a new saying around school, and then you hear somebody else use it and they act like they did it. You be like, bro. You be like, man, come on, man. You know you just heard me say that. They be like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, no, the worst is when you say a joke and you say it to one person and then they say it out loud and everyone laughs. You're like, yo, bro, that was me, bro. Come on.
What's the Key and Peele skit? The Python.
I'm high on pot.
I'm high on pot. That shit's hilarious.
But no, for sure, man. It's the thing about spirituality, it gets really deep and it's so complex. You have to kind of go on a series, and that's what I've been doing on TikTok. I've been doing an astrology series. So, like, even when I get off here, I stopped the astrology series. I just made it straight spirituality. So I'm going to get on TikTok Live when I leave here and I get settled in at home, eat dinner or whatever. And then, but I'm going to go on live there. And what I've been doing is basically just, because I notice on TikTok, a lot of people like to debate. And a lot of people like to battle. It's not even on TikTok. It's on YouTube. It's on everything. Like, somebody can do something amazing. And then you read the comment section. I suggest you stop reading the comment section because it's going to ruin the video for you. Because there will... It does. It's okay. I mean, it's at 2. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, man, but just to wrap it up, man, spirituality is a long, long thing. I hope something I said, click in somebody's brain. If you do ever want to know more, want to go into more depth, without being on a time crunch, it's getting late, y'all. But y'all come to the Farmadon page on TikTok. That's Farmadon13. Y'all come on there. The business page will already be linked to that. You'll understand that. I'm not really promoting the business tonight. This is just, we're chilling, celebrating the new year. Happy New Year once again. Thanks for bringing the new year with us. So that's pretty much it, man. In order to understand something, you have to do it and partake of it. Life is actually not a spectator sport. So a lot of people have, because we're on our phones, we like to comment on things that we see. But until you do those things or even make the effort to do those things, it's kind of hard to comment or really know for a fact if these things are true. So if you really want to know something is true and you don't have a bias, you go try it for yourself. And if you don't try it for yourself, then you kind of just gotta leave it up to, as they say, leave it up to the experts. So that's pretty much what I want to say about spirituality is it's all about experience. So the more you can experience, the more spiritual you become. And you see this in the lives of people who partied their entire lives and did and went through all these situations. These end up being the most spiritual people. It's never the person who never thought outside the box. It's never the person who just followed the rules. The most spiritual people are the people that are innovating, creating, doing new things. So you have to push the envelope, but do it safely. Do it safely and do it in moderation, because any extreme far left, which would be like radicalism, or far right, which would be extreme conservatism, you want to meet in the middle. You know what I mean? Just gotta understand it's bigger than understanding. It's more about being, and the only reason we even exist is to. I can't tell you why we exist. Everybody exists for a different reason, but we all exist, and we all gotta share space with each other. Where it's a city, a home, a town, a store, social media. So it's like, just respect other people's space and have boundaries, and go do the work in private, so that way you're not stepping on other people's feet. If you truly want to learn, be respectful, and that's real spirituality, because spirit is always dealing with how you deal with yourself and how you breathe. And if you panic and you breathe like you're always going to be in that mindset, so you're going to talk to people like that. Take a deep breath, no matter what you're faced with, be able to think about what you're doing. So that's all I want to say, man. Farmer Dawn, man, this was a spiritual, man. Thanks for Fine and Dandy having me. And like, this how spirituality works. Everything's gonna be fine and dandy. Don't worry about it. You know what I mean? That's why it's the podcast, man. Don't worry about it, man. If y'all want to connect with me, come on to Farmer Dawn TikTok. We get real spiritual. We don't have no holds barred. Make sure y'all follow, like, share, and subscribe to podcast. And go on Fine and Danny's YouTube page. Like the video up, follow them, share the page. I don't care, Facebook, Instagram, anything, whatever you got to do, man. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate
Thank you
it,
for
man.
coming
all I
in,
got
man.
to say, guys. Yeah.
Glad to have you back on.
Appreciate digging into some of these deep dives with you. I've always loved having conversations with you. It's always goes to places I never would have imagined.
Yeah.
And I love it, every bit of it. But thank you guys for another great week, another great episode. Fucking bringing in 2025 the right way, man. Let's fucking do it.
I'm saying. Happy New Year, y'all.
Happy New Year. Thank you guys for watching.